On this example 5 that we just finished, remember that the leading coefficient, this x squared term, only had an imaginary 1 here, so it was pretty easy to factor. You only look at this term in order to find the product, and you look at the middle term in order to find out what those two factors have to add up to. Now, the reason why this works is if you were to FOIL this thing out, of course you'd have x times x, which is our x squared term, and then we'd have negative 3x and plus 6x. If I were to add those two together, I get my positive 3x. And then finally, using your last term, 6 times negative 3 gives us negative 18. So that's why this thing works. Okay, it gets a little tougher when your leading coefficient is not a 1. Even more than that, if you ever have a leading coefficient that's negative, you want to get rid of it by just multiplying everything by negative 1, which basically means you just change all the signs, so times negative 1. So let's instead work with 4x squared minus 12x plus 7 equals 0. Okay, so if my leading coefficient is not a 1, I don't just look at this last number, this c value down here. I have to multiply it, this 7 times the 4. This is sometimes called the AC, or the British method. It's called the AC method because remember, this is a A, this is a B, and this is the C. You're multiplying the A times the C before you can get the product. So this 4 times 7 is a product of 28. Now, no matter what method, whoa, let's back this up just a little bit. This should have been a minus 7, right? Because I multiplied that times negative 1, and that makes this a negative 28. Okay, so regardless if you're using the AC method, if the leading coefficient is not a 1 or if it is a 1, doesn't matter. Middle term always gives you what your factors have to add up to. So my sum is negative 12. What times what gives me negative 28 and adds up to negative 12? That is negative 14 and 2. Okay. Now, instead of just using this negative 14 and 2 inside the parentheses, what you have to do is you have to use those two factors to expand this middle term. Instead of writing negative 12x, you write negative 14x plus 2x. So if I add those two things together, I get that negative 12x. Now let me write down the rest of the equation. 4x squared minus 7x equals 0. Okay? Now I don't want to go ahead and combine these, because if I combine them, I'm just going to end up back where I started. So I put parentheses around this first set, and I put parentheses around the second set, and then what I'm going to do is what's called factor by grouping. I look inside the first set of parentheses and I factor out whatever they have in common. Well, a 2 and an x will go into both of these, so I'll pull out a 2x. Open up parentheses and see what's left behind. What's left behind is a 2x minus 7. And then I look at the second set and I see what I can pull out of it. And well, this should not have been an x there. I would just pull out the number 1. If they don't have a common factor, always pull out the number 1, because then it'll prevent you from making any kind of mistake. Okay, sign mistake or number mistake or whatever. 2x minus 7. Now they both have a common factor of 2x minus 7. 2x minus 7. What's left behind from the first one is a 2x. What's left behind from the second one is plus 1 equals 0. Now you set both of these factors equal to 0. So the first one, 2x minus 7 equals 0. X equals, you add 7 divided by 2 is 7 halves. The second one, 2x plus 1 equals 0. Subtract the 1 divided by 2, x equals negative 1 half. And